I grew up on the national junior tennis circuit with a guy named Jimmy Brown. And Jimmy Brown was a fabulous junior tennis player. I mean, national champion many times over. And he idolized, just idolized Ivan Lendl, the great champion. I mean, down to the point, you guys, of copying every stroke that Lendl hit. Just down to the detail. He had posters on his bedroom wall, like life-size posters of Ivan Lendl. So here's the story. Jimmy Brown turns pro, and in his very first tournament as a professional, 18 years old, you wouldn't believe who he drew in the first round. Ivan Lendl. Brown was thrilled, called me on the phone and said, "Siebold, we're not going to believe who I'm playing." 10,000 people, national television, the whole 9 yards. And on that day, Jimmy Brown played the best tennis match of his life, and he beat Ivan Lendl. Newspaper said the next day it was the biggest upset since David beat Goliath. So I didn't see it, but I saw it on TV, and Jimmy Brown hits the winning shot. And he raises his arms up in victory, and he waves to the crowd, and he walks up to the net, and he shakes hands with Lendl. And they're walking off the court, and at the very last second, Brown grabs Lendl by the lapel, and he turns him around, and he says, "Mr. Lendl, can I have your autograph?" And that made headlines all over the world. I got a call from a company on Wall Street. And it's a very fast-growing, one of the fastest-growing companies on Wall Street. And the interesting thing about it to me is that they make a lot of money and they're growing super fast, but the average age is about 25 as far as their salespeople go. And they're just hungry. They're just like you guys. They're hungry, they're young, and they just don't take no for an answer. So they called me and asked me to do a keynote speech at their national convention in Atlantic City a couple years ago. So I did it, had a great time. They were 300 of their top salespeople qualified for this deal. And it was just a group about this size, as a matter of fact. Fantastic, great people, a lot of fun. And I never heard from them again. I just did a speech, and that's what they wanted. So I get a call from the president, who's 39 years old. He's a self-made billionaire, 39 years old, started from scratch. Nice guy, tough as nails, mentally tough, focused like you can't believe. He calls me up and he says, "Steve, I got a problem." And I said, "Okay, what's happening?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you what, since Atlantic City, baby, oh, we're making money. Oh, it's good. I got 300 of the richest salespeople on Wall Street, and we're cranking, man. It's just going really well." I said, "All right, what's the problem? It sounds pretty good to me. Why do you call it?" He said, "I have 25-year-old salespeople going to the emergency room with chest pains." He said, "You're the mental toughness guy. Can you help?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you." So I'm driving home from the office that night to my house, and Einstein's quote came into my head: "A problem cannot be solved at the same level of consciousness or thinking in which it occurs." So I thought, okay, these salespeople are going to the emergency room because they're putting this pressure that we talked about earlier with the balloon, right, on themselves. It doesn't exist in the universe, but in their minds it exists. Perception is reality. Yeah. So I know it's a very low level of consciousness, but they can't see it. Can't see the forest for the trees, like Einstein talked about. So I thought, okay, I've got something. Called Michael back the next day. I said, "I think I got an answer for you." Didn't even ask me what it is. He says, "Great, I'll see you in New York." That's the way the guy is. He's amazing. So I went to New York, and I went to their office. 300 of their top salespeople. And you have to sort of see this office to believe it. It's, I guess it's about the size of a football field. It's one level, and they work in these like half cubicles. You can still see all the salespeople. They're like ants when you go up on the top and look down. And they're all over the place. And you can see them all, but it's like one floor, and it's like the most intense thing. They have this big alarm that goes off when the market opens, and they start selling, and they sell by phone. And this is kind of what it sounds like. It's the best I can do. They work with these headsets, and they have these appointment setters, I guess you call them, up on these risers. And they say, "Okay, I've got John Smith on line 6, go." And they wear these headsets like this, and they pace like tigers in a cage. It's what, you got to see it to believe it. "Okay, now talk to me, baby. 6.5%, I can't make any money on you. You're killing me. Geez, now, will you be reasonable, John? We've been doing business for years. You won't let me make any money. I just, they're like this all the time. And they're good, but they're tense. They're tense. So I came up with this idea, this crazy idea. So Michael gets up there, the president, and he says, all right, you guys, fall in. They're the same size as crowd as you guys. And they're all standing by their cubicle. They got the Armani suits on, the Gucci fancy whatever suits, and the alligator $2,000 shoes, and the fancy dresses, and the whole. And they're standing there looking at me. Now, I knew them from Atlantic City, but not all that. They look like they might attack at any time. I wasn't sure. A little worried about that. But they're standing by their cubicle. And we're right before the market opens. And they're looking at their watches. And Michael goes, all right, you guys, fall in. He said, look, I'm not going to waste any time introducing Steve Siebold. You already met him in Atlantic City. This is how they talk. You already met him, so let's not waste any time. Just get to it. Here's the bottom line. I don't know what he's going to tell you, because he hasn't even told me. But this is at the end of the day, this is what it is, you guys. I don't want any feedback. I don't want any pushback. Just do what the man tells you to do. He's a mental toughness coach. Just do what he tells you to do. And he starts pointing people out. You just do what he says. And then he goes, all right, Steve, you're on. I'm like, great intro. Yeah. Thank you. Wow. Came all the way from Florida for this. So I got up there, and they're all looking at me pretty mean and everything. You ever see the movie Wall Street? Michael Doug, Gordon. This is 300 Gordon geckos. Nice people. They're really nice, but they're tough as nails. So I was like before, I said that, these guys eat their young, same kind of thing. So I walk up, and they're all looking at me real seriously, and I said, okay, guys. I said, well, let me first of all congratulate you on your success. Wow. Whew. Since I seen you in Atlantic City, just great things. Congratulations. I'm not going to change anything you're doing in sales, because obviously you're doing it, and you're doing it darn well. Great job. I'm just going to add a couple of things today, and then I'm going to let you sell and do just what you do every day. You're not going to change a thing. Just a couple additions. So if you'll reach under your desk, you'll see one of these moose head masks. Just looking at me. I had to keep a straight face, or I can't laugh.